So let us start this class. I hope everyone is fit and fine, safe, healthy, as always. Well, just to have a quick recap of what we did in the last class. I think in the last class we were dealing with pseudophores and we had done some problems on pseudophores. That was how we ended the class. And as I told you, we would be starting with a brand new topic, and the brand new topic is friction. Do we recollect? Did we start friction in the last class or did we discuss pseudophores in the last class? I think we only discussed pseudophores in the last class, right? So we would now start with friction. So let us all get into a groove of studying. Okay, friction. Now, first of all, what do you understand by friction? Now, as soon as I say the word friction, what comes to your mind? I'm asking this question to everyone in the class and in the online mode. Karthik, Padmakant, Suren, Vahini, everyone in the class. What do you understand by the word friction? What what we have started friction? Okay, so how far did we go in friction? Let me have a quick recap because what I see the last lecture was I think on pseudophores. That is how I saw from my last notes. I thought about it. But let us start with friction. Now, how far did we cover? Yes, we just covered the definition of friction. So let us, because it was before your vacations, around 10-15 days have passed by. So let us again start with friction. Now, if you recollect friction, as Waini was telling me, I have this floor, and then I have this block on this floor. Let us say block of mass m. I hope everyone can see this. Okay, now let us, just for the sake of understanding, let us assume that this block is moving with a velocity v. Now, up till now, what was happening was all our surfaces were smooth. There was no friction. But now, from now onwards, wherever you have a surface, you will have that surface as rough. Now, what do you mean by a rough surface? It is not smooth. So whenever something becomes rough, friction comes into play. Now, if I ask you to draw the free body diagram of this block, what would you do? I hope you are doing it with me. You will write the force mg, the gravitational force acting downwards, and you will say this normal reaction is upwards. Now, once we when we started talking about force, we talked about something known as reaction force. Do we recollect this reaction force? I told you that this reaction force, whenever two bodies are in contact with each other, they exert forces on each other, equal and opposite. Those forces are known as reaction forces, the green one. Now, these reaction forces may not be perpendicular to the bodies. The reaction force can be going in any particular direction. In this case, the direction, let us suppose, is like this. This is the reaction force between what? Between this block and this floor. R is the reaction force. This R, the green R that I have drawn, is the force applied by this ground or surface on this body. Remember, it's an action reaction force. So whatever force ground has applied on the body, I've written bond. Why I've written bond? Whatever force the ground has applied on the body, same force body will also apply on the ground. So I will just draw it like R dash. This R dash becomes the reaction force applied by body on ground, equal and opposite. As you can see, one I have called it as R, the other one I have called R dash, just to make you understand Newton's third law. That is correct. Fine. Now this reaction force, the green one that you see, can be resolved into two components. Now the first component we have already dealt with, that is the yellow one. That is known as normal reaction force because it is normal. There is one more component that we must be now thinking about, which is parallel to the two bodies. Now this parallel component, which I am now drawing it by pink, this parallel component is known as friction. So if someone asks you what is friction, I think we have discussed the definition. Friction is the parallel component of reaction force. This is first thing that you must remember about friction. Friction is the parallel component of reaction force. Now this will only come into the picture. This will only come into the picture when my camera is giving me trouble. I've ordered a new camera. I hope I'll get it soon. Because of this Diwali thing, I'm not able to get it. Okay, I hope this is now. This is the parallel component of reaction force. This is the first thing that you must remember about friction. I hope you remember this. Can I have some raised hand that we remember this? It is a parallel component of reaction force. Great. Now, what is the second thing that you must remember about friction and never forget about friction is it does not oppose motion. Remember, it does not oppose motion. In fact, if I would have told you it is because of friction that motion is possible. Try walking on a slab of ice. You will not be able to walk, you will slip. Because of friction that motion is possible. I must have given you the example of this pen. The way I can write by this pen on this pad is because of friction between the pen and the pad. If there is no friction, I will not be able to write. Friction does not oppose motion, but it opposes something. I must have told you that it is known as a necessary evil. Why it is necessary? Because without friction, nothing would be possible. For example, if friction is not there, if you are sliding on something, you will never be stopping. You will not be able to stop yourself anyhow. So friction is a necessary evil. Evil because since it is an opposing force, and I'm just working on this, since it is an opposing force, it will some amount of work or energy is spent in overcoming this friction. That energy is lost, and hence we call it necessary evil. Let me just change this and put it here. Maybe it works better here in this one. Let me see. It works better here. Just give me a moment. I guess it is working better here. You can see me now? Okay. So it works better here. I think that point is garbad. Okay. So it does not oppose motion. No. Okay. This point. This thing has gone kaput. Try it here. It is giving me trouble. I need to change it. Okay. It is working fine. Yeah. Can you see me now? I'm using a different camera. Okay. I hope this is good. Okay. So friction, it does not oppose motion. What does it oppose then? What is supposed to oppose? It opposes, I must have told you, it opposes Rm. What do you mean by Rm? It opposes relative motion. It opposes relative motion between the two bodies. If there is relative motion, it opposes relative motion. If there is no relative motion, it opposes the tendency of relative motion. So these are the two things that you must remember. It opposes relative motion or the tendency of relative motion. Does not oppose motion, it opposes relative motion or the tendency of relative motion. Now, as you can see, the first case where this block was moving on this surface, In this case, case number 1, let me write it as case number 1. There was relative motion between the block and the ground. There was relative motion between these two bodies, and hence friction was opposing it. It's what as simple as that. Friction was opposing the relative motion between the two bodies. This upper body block was moving forward. The upper block was moving forward, and hence the direction of friction was backwards. It was as simple as that. So that is the third thing that you must remember. The fourth thing, the direction of friction. The direction of friction would be such that it opposes relative motion. So as you can see, on the upper block, the direction of friction was backwards. Why it was backwards? Because that block was trying to move forwards. When you think about the relative motion between the block and the ground, block was moving forward, and hence frictional force was backward. Do we understand this, everyone? Can I have some raise hand that you understand this? Okay. Friction is a parallel component of reaction force. It does not oppose motion. It opposes relative motion or the tendency of relative motion. Now it is good to understand what do you mean by this tendency of relative motion. It is easier to understand friction when bodies are moving, but it might be difficult for you to understand friction when the bodies are not moving. So I'll just give you a very simple example, example number 2. Now here what you will see is that there is no motion, but there is a tendency. For example, if I have a smooth incline like this, incline at an angle of theta. Now if I place a block on this, and the question is pretty damn simple. If there is no friction, what will happen? If there is no friction, the block will just slide. And where will it slide? It will definitely slide downwards. It will just go up. But if I now change the condition like this, if I just say that this floor is rough, there is not smooth, it is rough. Now when this floor becomes rough, what changes? Now you might find that this block does not slide. How do I give you? For example, I don't have anything. For example, this is that slide. This is that plane that is inclined at an angle. Now if I put something here, for example, let me put this thing. Okay, let me put this thing. Okay, this is the plane inclined at an angle. See, when I'm putting this block, it does not move. Now if this was frictionless, this should have moved like this. It should have moved. But I see now that this is not moving. See, it is not moving. It should move down. It should move down, but it is not moving. It is not moving, but it has a tendency to move. And where is that tendency to move? The tendency to move is to move downwards, but it is not moving downwards. That means something must be stopping it. And what is that something that is stopping it? That something that is stopping it is again friction. Here there is no tendency of relative motion. Here there is no relative motion, but there is a tendency of relative motion. Whatever is stopping it, whatever is opposing it is also friction. But this friction is somewhat different to the earlier friction where we had relative motion. Case number 1. Case number friction was different because there was relative motion. Case number 2, friction is different because there is no relative motion, but there is a tendency of relative motion. Do we understand this? The difference between the two. One is happening because there is relative motion. The other one is happening because there is no relative motion, but there is a tendency of relative motion. I'll give you one more example on this tendency of relative motion. For example, if I have this very heavy block, kept on a rough surface, a very heavy block kept on a rough surface, and I apply a very small force. Say I apply a force of 2 Newton. I apply a very small force of 2 Newton onto it. Very heavy block. You can imagine a big Almirah or a big trunk is kept, and you apply a very small force. And you see that this block is not moving. Obviously, you will have to apply a larger force to move this block. You see that this block is not moving. Now, if you look at the free body diagram of the gentleman, it is not moving, it is at rest. Mg is downwards, normal reaction is upwards. So far, so good. Now, if there is a 2 Newton force here on the right hand side, and if there is no force on the left hand side, this block should move. But what we are finding is that the block is not moving. I need to apply a larger force on the block so that it moves. It is not moving now. That means something is stopping it. There is no motion here. There is no relative motion here. The block and the ground are not moving with respect to each other, but there is a tendency of relative motion. Whatever friction is stopping it, whatever force is stopping it is also friction. But the friction in case number 3 and case number 2 are same because there is no relative motion. Friction in case number 2 and case number 3 are same, but it is different from case number 1 where there is relative motion. Do we understand this small point, that difference between relative motion and the tendency of relative motion? Can I have some reason that we understand this? The relation between the difference between relative motion and the tendency of relative motion. Since there are these two cases, and hence I can classify friction into two categories. Now, friction would be classified into two categories. Now, no prizes for guessing what these two categories are. What will be these two categories in which I am going to classify friction? One friction will oppose relative motion. It will oppose relative motion. That means there will be a relative motion. The second type of friction would oppose, there will be no relative motion. So it will oppose the tendency of relative motion. It will oppose the tendency of relative motion. And hence we have two types of friction. Now, what I'm going to call this friction and what I'm going to call this friction. Any ideas? What I'm going to call friction number 1, what I'm going to call friction number 2. And see, physics is very logical. Since we see that in number 1 there is relative motion, in number 2 there is no relative motion, so number 1 friction is known as kinetic friction. Number 1 friction is known as kinetic friction, and number 2 friction is known as static friction. Number 1 is known as kinetic, number 2 is known as static friction. So these are the two types of frictions that we have to encounter. Am I clear? Do we understand this? Two types of friction that we have to encounter. One will be known as static friction. The other one would be known as kinetic friction. Well done. Then we will write the first heading, and the first heading would be kinetic friction. So let us write the first heading. Kinetic friction. Let us write the first heading, kinetic friction. Now in this kinetic friction, what would happen? So kinetic friction is the friction that comes into play. Kinetic friction is the friction that comes into play when there is relative motion between the two bodies. When there is relative motion between the two bodies and it opposes this relative motion. It is as simple as this. Kinetic friction, yes, Vahini, is the friction which comes into picture when there is relative motion between the two bodies, and it will simply oppose the relative motion between the two bodies. Am I clear? Okay. Now remember, friction is a force. So this kinetic friction would have two things that you must worry about, two things that you must be careful about. One is the magnitude of kinetic friction. The other one is the direction of kinetic friction. So let us now talk about the magnitude and the direction of kinetic friction. What about the magnitude and what about the direction? Let us first talk about the direction of kinetic friction. What would be the direction of kinetic friction? The direction of kinetic friction would be such that it opposes relative motion. It's as simple as that. So you look at relative motion, and the direction of kinetic friction will be opposite to relative motion. Very simple. See, if I go up in this case, see this blue friction, see this friction. What is the direction of this friction? This gentleman is moving forward. With respect to what? With respect to ground, it is moving forward. The direction of friction is opposite to the relative motion. So on the block, friction is opposite in the backward direction. What about friction on ground? What about friction on ground? And you will simply say, sir, friction on ground will be equal and opposite. So if friction on the body is to the left hand side or backwards, friction on ground would be to the right hand side or forward. Do we understand this? Do we understand this? Okay, let us now try to bring in more examples and try to understand the direction of kinetic friction. Why we are trying to understand the direction of kinetic friction, because there can be a question, you might get confused in static friction, how do you find the direction? So let us now talk about the direction of kinetic friction with some examples. Let us say this is ground, this is a block M1, it is moving with respect to ground with a velocity 5 meter per second. Remember, 5 meter per second is the velocity with respect to ground. This is the block M2, which is moving on the top of this block, and its velocity is 10 meter per second with respect to ground. Both are with respect to ground. Please remember that. Now, remember, everything is rough. Everything is rough means this ground is rough, and between these two, there is also roughness. Nothing is smooth now. Now, can you tell me what will be the direction of friction on the two bodies? Also on ground, what will be the direction of friction? Now, can I have this question for you? I'll give you 2 minutes to think about it. What is the direction of friction on the two bodies and also on ground? 1 minute, think about it. And there must be a logic behind it. You don't know the magnitude. I'm not talking about the magnitude. I'm just talking about the direction. What would be the direction? This is ground. G is ground. Towards right, why is saying on which body towards right? I don't understand right, left. Which body are you talking about? Okay, let me do this for you, and probably you can do the next one for me. Let us first talk about between M1 and ground. Now I'm looking at I'm looking at M1. And when I look at M1, M1 is moving towards right with respect to ground. M1 is moving right with respect to ground. So the force F1, which will be the force applied by ground on M1, will be towards left, because with respect to ground, M1 is moving forward, and hence force would be backwards. If I talk about ground, on ground, the same frictional force, same in magnitude, but opposite in direction, would be towards right. This niche wala F1 is the force applied by M1 on ground. The upar wala F1 is the force applied by ground on M1. Do we understand this? Can I have some reason that we understand this? Great. F1 done. Now let us move on to the much trickier aspect, and if you can understand it, it is good. Let us now think about what is happening with M2 and M1. Now, to understand the direction of friction, remember, friction does not oppose motion. Friction opposes relative motion. Now, let us think about what is happening between M1 and M2. Now, I stand on top of M1. I will stand on top of M1 and see what is happening. So I stand here on M1 and I see what is happening. I look at M2. What will happen if I look from M1 on M2? How will I see M2 moving? M1 is moving with 5 meter per second forward. M2 is moving with 10 meter per second forward with respect to ground. So if I stand on M1 and look at M2, M2 would be moving forward or M2 would be moving backwards. Where will M2 move with respect to M1? Forward or backward? How many for forward? How many for backward? M1 is moving with 5 meter per second. M2 is moving with 10 meter per second. So common sense will tell you that with respect to M1, M2 is moving forward. Yes or no? With respect to M1, M2 is moving forward. Since M2 is moving forward with respect to M1, the direction of force, frictional force on M2 applied by M1, which I am calling it as F2, F2 would be backwards. Now, if F2 on M2 is backwards, the frictional force applied by M2 on M1 would be forward. So that is how you find the direction of force. F1, force applied on by ground on M1 is backwards, but the force applied by M2 on M1 is forward. The force applied by M1 on M2 is backwards, and that is how you get the direction of force. Do we understand this? Can I have some raise hand that we understand this? We understand this? Okay. What I'll do is I'll just change the scenario. I will change the scenario here. And let us see now what is the direction of forces. M1 here, M2 here. Now remember, both the blocks are moving with respect to ground. I'm giving you both the velocities with respect to ground. So I've changed the two velocities. Block M1, the lower block, is moving with a velocity of 10 meter per second with respect to ground. But block M2, which is on the top of M1, is moving with a velocity of 5 meter per second with respect to ground. Now, can you tell me what would be the direction of frictional forces? Now, remember, whenever we are talking about direction of frictional forces, you always talk about relative motion. You don't talk about anything else. It's only relative motion that you talk about. One minute to think about it. What would be the direction of frictional force on the two bodies? The lower one is ground, G. First thing first, What will be the direction of frictional force on M1? M1 with respect to ground is moving forward. Ground is not going anywhere. M1 is moving forward. So the frictional force applied by ground on M1 would be backwards. That is my F1. The upper wala F1 is the frictional force applied by ground on M1. Niche wala F1, no one will ask you that F1. That F1 will be forward, which will be applied by ground, which will be applied by M1 on ground. So far, so good. Do we understand this? Can I have some raise hand that we understand this F1? You don't understand this? No one understands this? With respect to ground, M1 is moving forward, and hence ground will apply frictional force in the backward direction. Now let us try to find out the frictional force between M1 and M2. Now, you can sit on M1 and watch M2, or you can sit on M2 and watch M1. Now, whatever you do, which is easier, you can only think. And again, I will sit on M1 and see what is happening with M2. Now, M1 is moving with a velocity of 10 meter per second forward, but M2 is moving only with a velocity of 5 meter per second forward with respect to ground. So what will I see when I stand on M1? I will see that instead of block M2 moving forward, for me, the block would be moving backwards. Yes or no? For me, when I'm standing on M1, the block M2 will be moving backwards. Or in other ways, if you become M2 and I become the green Hulk, if I become M2, and I look at M1, I am moving with 5 meter per second, but M1 is moving with 10 meter per second. That means M1 is faster. So M1 will be moving forward. If M1 is moving forward, the frictional force on M1 would be backwards. Since the frictional force on M1 is backward, the frictional force on FM2 would be forward. So you see the direction of frictional force have reversed. Why it has reversed? Because it depends on the direction of relative motion. Are you getting my point? With respect to ground, both the blocks are moving forward, but that does not mean that frictional force on both the blocks will be backwards, because friction force depends on relative motion. Relative motion between M1 and ground, M1 is forward. That is why friction is backwards. Relative motion between M1 and M2, M1 is moving forward, friction force backwards. And that is how we determine the direction of frictional forces on the two bodies, whether it is kinetic friction or whether it is static friction. The concept remains same. Do we understand this? Can I have some raise hand that we understand this, sir? Have you understood the direction of kinetic friction? That is the first point that you must understand. The direction of kinetic friction will be always such that it will oppose the relative motion between the two bodies. That is the first thing that you must understand. What is the second thing that you must understand? Since we have understood the direction, let us talk about the magnitude of kinetic friction. Now, the magnitude of kinetic friction is fixed. It's fixed. Can you change it? Yes, you can change it. How you can change it? We'll understand this. It's fixed, and that is always equal to mu k multiplied by n, and it is written as Fk. Fk means F standing for friction, K standing for kinetic. Mu k multiplied by n, that will be the magnitude. Okay, what we'll do is we'll just not write it now. We'll just write it as it is fixed. Magnitude of kinetic friction is fixed. Number 3, let us move on to the number 3 point. It is action, reaction, force. Kinetic friction on any force, unless otherwise stated, is always an action, reaction, force. Do you understand these 3 points just now? Kinetic friction, the direction will be opposite to relative motion. The magnitude is fixed and it's an action reaction force. Now, this kinetic friction, depending on motion, now please listen to me very carefully. You might not find this in books. Now, this kinetic friction, depending on motion, can be further subdivided into 2 categories. One is known as sliding friction, and the other one is known as rolling friction. Sliding friction and rolling friction. Now, the sliding friction is definitely in your course. So most of the time, what happens is whenever someone is talking about kinetic friction, he is basically referring to sliding friction, because the sliding friction is in your course. But this kinetic friction, this rolling friction, the rolling friction is not in your course. So we will not be discussing rolling friction because it is very complicated. It is very complicated. So we will not discuss this. We'll only discuss sliding friction. So whenever someone says FK, kinetic friction, is basically referring to sliding friction. Whenever someone says kinetic friction, he is referring to sliding friction. Now, what is the difference between sliding friction and rolling friction? Now, as the name suggests, sliding friction comes into the picture when 2 bodies are sliding. When 2 bodies are sliding over each other, as was the case that we discussed when one block is sliding on one other block, that is sliding friction. Then what is rolling friction? When bodies rolling over one another, the friction that comes into the picture is known as rolling friction. So, whenever we are talking about kinetic friction, which friction are we talking about? We are talking about sliding friction. Some books may just refer sliding friction as kinetic friction. This is not entirely wrong, because most of the times when we are referring to kinetic friction, we are only referring to sliding friction. Right? The same mistake I made. I wrote the magnitude as mu k into n. The magnitude of kinetic friction is not mu k into n. It has got 2 types of friction, sliding and kinetic, sliding and rolling. The formulas are different. So now when you come to sliding friction, now in sliding friction, what you can write first thing, what is the direction of sliding friction? Direction of sliding friction will be such that it opposes the relative motion. We have seen that. Now, when you talk about the magnitude of the sliding friction, now you can write this magnitude is fixed and it is always equal to Fk. Now, Fk is equal to mu k into n. Now, see, I have used k here. I have used k here. This k refers to kinetic friction, but here I am talking about sliding friction. So, this is how we will write it. Whenever you write Fk, you mean kinetic friction, but you are basically referring to sliding friction. Do you understand my point? Fk means sliding friction, but K refers to the kinetic part. So it is kinetic friction. Now here there are 2 things that you see. One is mu K and other one is N. N you always know. N is the normal reaction between the 2 bodies. The same N that we were referring to. Now this mu K is a constant. Mu K is a constant. that depends on mu k is a constant that depends on the two surfaces and is known as coefficient of kinetic, or you can say coefficient of sliding friction. It is known as coefficient of sliding friction or coefficient of kinetic friction. Am I clear? Now, this mu k depends on the two surfaces. For example, if one surface is this mobile phone and another surface is this, whatever you call it, teaspoon, mu between teaspoon and this surface is fixed. Now, if instead of this, I put this one, the value of mu will change because the surfaces have changed. If I put oil on this surface and then again I put this, then again the value of mu will change because the surface has changed. So mu can be changed, or mu k can be changed by changing the surface. The only way you can change mu k is by changing the surface or by applying oil or water. You put in some sort of lubricant, the value of mu k will change. That is the only way you can change the value of mu k, by changing the surface. Am I clear? Okay. Now, this kinetic friction or this sliding friction Fk does not depend on area of contact. It does not depend on the area of contact. What do I mean by this? For example, I keep a block like this, horizontal, or I keep the same block like this, same surface, the value of friction would be same. Just because this side we have more area in contact, and in this case we have less area in contact, the value of friction does not change. Friction does not depend on area of contact. Surface, this is my body. I keep it like this. I keep it like this. I keep it like this. Or I keep it like this. Friction does not change. It remains same. It does not depend on area of contact. But now see, look at this surface and look at this surface. They are same. But look at this surface. It is a different surface. It is not same as this surface. So when I am keeping it like this or keeping it like this, friction is same because surfaces are same. But when I keep it like this, friction will change, not because area has changed, but because surface has changed. Do we understand this? This surface is different, this surface is different, and this surface is different. So if I keep it like this, friction will change, not because of area changing, it is because of the surface changing. Do we understand this? Friction does not depend on area, it only depends on the surfaces in contact. Am I clear? Can I have some raise hand that we understand this? Okay. So remember this. Friction does not depend on area of contact. It only depends on the surfaces which are in contact. To change friction, what you can do? Number one, change mu k. How can you change mu k? You can lubricate the two surfaces. You can replace the two surfaces. You can make them smoother. That is how you can change the value of frictional force, or you can change the value of normal reaction N. If you can change the value of normal reaction N, you can change the friction. How will you do that? We will be discussing just now. So the only way you can change friction, again, remember it's a action reaction force. I think we have not written that point. You written it in the earlier case. What are the points that we have summarized? Let me just go through this one by one so that we summarize friction. Friction, starting from friction. Friction is the parallel component of reaction force. It does not oppose motion. It only opposes relative motion. Yes or no? Now the direction of friction will be always such that it opposes your relative motion. Now, the friction which opposes relative motion is known as kinetic friction. There is another type of friction which opposes the tendency of relative motion, and that friction is known as static friction. And that friction is known as static friction. Now, when you come to kinetic friction, there are two types of kinetic friction, sliding and rolling. Sliding friction happens when things are sliding. Rolling friction happens when things are rolling. Rolling is not a part of your course, so we will not be discussing that. Sliding friction, magnitude is fixed, direction is opposite to relative motion. To change sliding friction, you must be changing the value of mu k, or you change the value of n. That is how we understand friction up till now. So far, so good. If so far so good, we can just go about solving one simple question. This is a block of 5 kg moving with a velocity of 10 meter per second. But now the floor is rough and the value of mu k is 0.2. What you have to find? Number one, the value of Fk. Number two, the acceleration of the block. Number three, the time it takes to stop. Number four, the distance traveled. These are the four things that you have to do. I'll give you a minute so that you can think over it and give me the answer. What is the value of Fk? What is the acceleration? How much time it takes to stop? What is the distance traveled? It's a simple question. How you should go about it? I guess everyone is solving, so I'll wait. Fu, what is Fu, Vahini? Fu is 100. What is Fu? Fk is 10. Yeah, that looks better. So Viney has got this, Viney has got friction, then it's time to stop and the distance traveled. Very simple question. How to go about it? First thing first, free body diagram, 50 Newton. Normal reaction is upwards, nothing has changed. N is upwards, 50 is downwards. There is no force and there is no other force. It is not going to move like this, jhag, 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 jhag. So I have the first equation, and the first equation is N equates 50. Now remember, in whatever questions we have done, we were always calculating normal reaction. Now you will understand why we were calculating normal reaction. Why we were calculating normal reaction? Because if the friction comes into the picture, if the surface is rough, you would be needing normal reaction. Now, this floor is rough, so there would be friction. Now you have to understand what is the direction of friction. With respect to the floor, with respect to the ground, the block is moving forward, and therefore frictional force has to be backwards, and that would be kinetic in nature because it is moving. So that is my Fk. That is my Fk, and it is backwards. And once you know that your Fk is there, you can find out the value of Fk. It is very simple. Kinetic friction is mu k multiplied by n. N is already 50. Mu k is 0.2. 0.2 multiplied by 50. 10 newtons. N standing for newtons, not for normal reaction. My kinetic friction becomes 10 newtons. Do we understand this? Yes or no? Kinetic friction is 10 newtons. So I am done with this part of finding out the value of Fk. Part number 1 is done. Fk is 10 Newton. Now you have to look for finding out the acceleration. How will you find out the acceleration? You have to draw the free body diagram. Free body diagram is already there. N is 50. We know that. There is only one force which is acting in the backward direction. There is no force. 10 meter per second is the velocity. It is not force. 5 kg block pay, there is only one force which is acting in the backward direction, and that force is frictional force, and therefore the acceleration would be backwards. Are you understanding the point? There's only one force acting. There are three forces acting. One is normal reaction, one is gravity. They are equating each other, so they are gone. The only third force remaining is the frictional force, which is backwards. There is no force in the forward direction, so it will be accelerated backwards. It will be accelerated backwards. What will be the value of this acceleration? Whatever is the force in the backward direction, the force is 10 newtons. 10 newtons must be equal to m into a. F is equal to ma, Newton's second law. Mass is 5, acceleration is a. So from here I can get the acceleration as 2 meter per second square in the backward direction. Do we understand this? Acceleration is 2 meter per second square in the backward direction. F is equal to ma. F is equal to ma. F is backwards. That is equal to ma. 5a. Acceleration is backwards in the backward direction. Do we understand this up till now? So far so clear? Can I have some raised hand that we are clear with this? Okay. Now let us move on to the third part. Now before moving on to the third part, let me write the value of everything. Fk is plus 10. Now why I'm using plus? Because I'm using sign convention. Everything is positive. Aage is positive. Piche is negative. So it should not be plus 10. It should be minus 10. Fine. Kinetic friction is minus 10 backwards. Acceleration is minus 2. I'm not writing the units. It is backwards, so minus. Initial velocity u. Initial velocity u is plus 10 because it is forward. So I've written everything according to my sign convention. Now what do? I go back and apply my famous equation. V is equal to u plus at. Time taken to stop, V will be 0. U is plus 10 plus acceleration is minus 2 times t. my t would be 5 seconds. That is the value of time taken. And that is my question number 3. How do I get to question number 4? There are many ways to do this. I will just apply the simplest possible. V square equates u square plus 2 times a into delta r. Delta r is the displacement. Here, from here, you will get the magnitude of displacement. This magnitude of displacement is same as the distance traveled because it is moving in a straight line and not changing direction. Remember that. Remember that. V square is 0 square, so that is 0. 10 u square is 10 square, so plus 10 square plus 2 times acceleration is minus 2 multiplied by delta r. From here you can find out delta r, which is the magnitude of displacement. It will be coming positive because it is moving forward, and that will be plus 25 meters, and that would be equal to your distance traveled. Distance traveled before stopping would be 25 meters. And this is how I have solved this problem. How we have solved this problem? The first thing is we have drawn the free body diagram. We have drawn the free body diagram. We have drawn the free body diagram. Normal reaction is upwards. Gravity is downwards. Normal reaction becomes 50. The block is moving forward, so friction is backwards. Mu k into n, that becomes 10. That is the only force in the backward direction, 10 newtons. So 10 newtons must be equal to ma. From there you get the value of a. A was 2 meter per second square in the backward direction. So I wrote it as minus 2 because according to my sign convention, everything positive, everything forward is positive, everything backwards is negative. Then I applied v is equal to u plus at. V is final velocity is 0, u is plus 10, time becomes 5 seconds. How much distance it has traveled? It is the magnitude of displacement because it is moving in a straight line. Remember that questions that we did. Once we get the value of acceleration, the same questions that we have done in chapter number 1 can again be done now. Am I clear with this? Have we understood the concept of friction? Now, what has changed in the entire picture? Same questions will come to you. Block kept on a surface, one block hanging, find out the acceleration. The only thing that we have to understand here is now one more force will come, and that force is friction. And because of that friction, you will have to find out normal reaction. We were already doing it. From that normal reaction, we have to calculate the value of friction and apply friction in the opposite direction of relative motion. Apart from that, everything remains same as what we have done in the previous classes. So we will be going ahead and solving more questions on this friction wala part in our coming classes. If you have any doubts, now you can raise them. The class from my end is over. I hope you have understood this. Anything that you want to ask, please come up.